But you see, the main thing is Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
I wondered what it was about them.
Yeah, they melt if you put them in an oven. But
yeah. But I just Weebles, they've always confused me. Now you've explained it. I get it. Thank you.
Well, don't take my word for it.
Hello, I'm Willie Weeble. Today we're going to Weeble Farm in our new horse and cart. Hello, Farmer Weeble. Afternoon, Willie. Have you seen my new animals? Oh, look, Granny.
Yeah, enough of that.
moving swiftly along. This gets more off the wall each week, doesn't it?
Made by Ethics.
Yeah.
On brand. Not just a kit company.
Anyway,
hello everybody. Welcome to tonight's interesting muddling company.
Welcome to another show from the island formerly known as Great Britain. No.
Let's move on. We've got some news items tonight. We have some action from the workbench, and I say, and as always, we've got we will be fielding your questions, especially if it comes to how we pronounce your names. So,
which has been a subject of some extensive research. I may be lying about the extensive, but certainly research.
Extensive research, honestly. Yeah. Anyway, Dave Fleming says they relaunched Weebles when my kids were little. Yeah, there we go. So there we go. We've got everybody on board.
And now one of your kids is in a final year of university, Dave. That was a generation ago, mate.
Let's move on. Right, we've got news, news, and we've got this week. Although nothing has been announced officially, we are getting word from the toy fairs that
there are rumours.
There are rumours that ICM and Zvezda have announced new things. So, shall we jump in with the big one first of all?
Do we want to jump in this soon into the show with the big one? Well, yeah, there was apparently a trade show in Moscow earlier this week, and among the information that's come out of there is that ICM have announced a 1/35th scale Sikorsky CH-54, official name TAR. Also known as obviously the Sky Crane, which was sort of has kind of blindsided everybody. I can understand why there's so much sort of skepticism. 35th scale, it's going to be absolutely enormous, and people seem to default immediately. Well, I haven't seen anything on Facebook. And
that was me. He means me. I said that.
I mean, well, you weren't the first person to say it, and it's like, if it's not on Facebook, it can't exist. Well, it was on a Russian forum, so while we await for proper confirmation, I've got no doubt that at least the intent is there, because it kind of fits in with what ICM are doing these days. It's Vietnamese. It's from the Vietnam War. It's a large 1/35th scale helicopter.
Yeah, well, I think we're pretty clear it's large.
Yeah, what enormous in actual fact. If they said 48 scale, I would have gone, oh, that's really, really nice. That's going to be a big model. 35th scale is, well, look, it's carrying a tank, and a Sheridan, whilst it's not a big tank, it's also not a tiny little tank. So,
let's go back to that picture. It's carrying a pair of Hueys. Now, the Huey, while not a big helicopter, isn't a small helicopter either. And I think if ever you see the 35th scale Huey made up at the model shows and things, so that's a substantial model. This is probably twice the length of that again. Yeah,
it's going to be but as people are pointing out, the diorama possibilities are many, many. Even if all those dioramas are going to be equivalently gigantic. But yeah, brave. And, given all of that with the blue 82 on it, that's great. That is. That was a daisy cutter. That was a daisy cutter. But given ICM's general way of doing things, you can probably expect, if sales go well, for there to be other scales down the line, possibly 48th or 72nd even, either of which would be, more than acceptable given, I mean, what was it? Limburg did it and Revell did it, didn't they?
I was going to say, I think most of us, this would have been our introduction to the Sky Crane, would have been seeing this kit in the model shops.
What a great piece of box art.
Well, I was going to say, either in the model shops or indeed in a Revell catalogue. That is still a fabulous piece of box art. And yeah, you can see where they got the idea of Thunderbird 2 from, can't you?
Yes.
Yes.
And obviously, this is a helicopter that is actually still in production, because the design authority and all the licensing went over to Ericsson, who still build them for various lifting and water bombing, firefighting roles. So with a lot, I mean, it's a very much changed in detail, but it's essentially the same helicopter. As the Ericsson S64. So one can see many possibilities there. I mean, I last saw the Revell kit in 1978-79. I think my brother built one. But it's a nice subject. I remain to be convinced of the scale choice, but then again, ICM seem to know what they're doing.
I'll say that was the discussion we were having before the show, because I literally went 35th, because obviously they've just done all the Cobras in 32nd, and we've discussed this in the past about where do the Cobras fit within ICM's range. Are they aiming those at aircraft modelers, thus their 32nd scale, or are they, should they have aimed them at armor modelers who prefer them to be 35th scale? If this is a 35th scale helicopter kit, then it signals possibly a sea change in attitude.
Yeah, it almost feels like the ICM have decided that the 32nd scale Cobras are a bit of a misstep, and they've decided, because they've announced now the Cobras are going to be done in 35th as well, which for a sort of less than 10% difference in size between 35th and 32nd. That is going to be we always say you can't just pantograph one kit to a different scale, but with that you almost can. You can just rescale the designs and send them back off to the tooling shop, I would think, because it's such a tiny difference in actual size. So reading between the lines, ICM have probably decided that 32nd is a kind of false ally for helicopters, because they're aiming them more at the armor side and diorama possibilities. So we shall see. It's not something that works for me. I would rather in 32nd, but that's a personal opinion. But talking of 32nd, ICM also announced a 32nd scale Yak 9 by all accounts, a series of Yak 9s, which that's the Yak 9 is a very, very small aeroplane.
It is, yes.
It's a tiny little aeroplane, so even in 32nd scale, it's going to be a small model, a small, very easily handleable model. People know I'm a huge fan of Zvezda. I'm sorry, Zvezda as well, but ICM. People know I'm a huge fan of ICM. So I'm, in spite of, I keep saying I don't build 32nd scale, and then people like ICM keep doing stuff that makes me go, oh. I saw the 32nd scale Gladiator in the flesh this week for the first time and went, oh, that is absolutely spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. But yeah, the Yak 9, as you can see, it's a tiny little aeroplane, and very, very successful, very nimble, very well armed little fighter. So they've announced a 32nd scale range. And as they've announced a 32nd scale range, by all accounts, Zvezda have announced 48 scale and 72nd scale ones at the same. You kind of get almost the impression that Zvezda and ICM are bouncing off of each other, if you get what I mean. They're sort of they're kind of almost maybe tipping each other the nod, or there's some kind of discussion going on. The most surprising thing being, as we discussed before the show, that a company from Ukraine and a company from Russia are attending together a trade show in Moscow, given the kind of the tensions between those two nations.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it kind of proves perhaps that those tensions are purely political, and behind it all, the rest, the rest of industry and stuff is just getting on with it and doing what they want. So, Zvezda have announced those in 48th and 72nd, along with a 1/48 scale Sukhoi Su-25 Frogfoot, which potentially will be a very, very popular, important release for them. I would kind of hope they'd go for a bit more high detail than they've done in their last few 48 scale kits. I think it's a subject that deserves it.
Well, I'm just doing a quick mental recap here. 48 scale Frogfoots. There was the OEZ kit from the late 1980s.
Yeah.
Yep. Then there was the Revelogram one from the late 1980s. Which was tooled in Korea. I remember it was and he said Telford. It was possibly the last Stoneleigh, and Gabor Zikaresh had come over from Hungary, and I sent him back with a monogram one because he kept eyeing it, and I thought, have one, go on, there you go,
have one.
And I don't think Trumpeter have done that in 30.
No, they've done it in 32nd. They've done it in 32nd, and by all accounts, it's a pretty nice model. It's not a bad model at all.
And the 72nd scale, we've had we've had KP, then we had Hobbycraft and Revell, and then what have we had? Zvezda,
and largely. That's it. I know Clearprop have announced a range in 72nd. It also should be noted that the 48 scale Revelogram one was a prototype. Had quite a lot of airframe stuff on it that was from the prototypes rather than production ones. So kind of like the Su-25 is one of those that's been fairly well represented, but never well represented. None of the kits are great. So there's
quantity rather than quality.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in all major scales for a decent Frogfoot kit. Because I really fancy one of the Czech ones from the late 80s and early 90s when they first started coming to Fairford and places. In the original
one
Czech.
with the one with the frog
smashing the T-34 on the
that always made me laugh.
So I think so there's that, and I mean last but not least, certainly not least as far as I'm concerned, is that ICM have apparently announced a range of 72nd scale MiG-23s and MiG-27s.
Boring. I just did that for the reaction. I think your picture is frozen. No, it's your face. No, I'm joking. Of course, the MiG-23, MiG-27 is far from boring. That's tremendously exciting.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's another one that hasn't been represented well. And certainly not in 72nd. I mean, the Trumpeter ones in 48th, the MiG-23s are really, really nice. Although there are, quite a lot of minor errors with them. The MiG-27s are frankly abysmal. But they're in 48 scale, not 72nd scale. This is a 72nd scale range.
Okay, let's have a recap of off the top of our heads. MiG-23
72nd scale ones.
Airfix did the
23. No, 23. Right. Shall I take this? Shall I take this? So the first one was a Hasegawa, who did a MiG-23M and a MiG-27D, early flogger Ds. Sort of raised detail, quite nice, quite nicely executed, but obviously very early, not very accurate. Airfix in 1978-79 released one which had a Russian and Libyan variants in the box. And in terms of 72nd ones, that was largely it until was it Cooperativa or somebody did a vast range that have since come out under the KP label in 72nd, where they covered a lot of 23s and 27s, and they are almost unbuildable. And I've tried it several times. I wouldn't say unbuildable. They're just, of course, they're not unbuildable. I've seen good ones built of them, but they're more trouble than they're worth, shall we say? Yeah. To someone like me who likes to build multiples of a kit for subjects, they're simply, I want something that's going to go together fairly simply and quickly, with a good level of detail, and those kits aren't it. Arc Models also have done some twin-seaters and MiG-27s. I've got one of them, which are basically based on other toolings. Oh, Zvezda. Sorry, Zvezda did 23s and 27s as well, but it was an earlier generation of Zvezda with raised detail, although fairly nicely executed again, and considerably more accurate than anybody else's. And Clearprop recently announced a range of MiG-23s and 27s as well. So I don't know where that leaves Clearprop in relation to ICM. If ICM have officially announced a range, Clearprop are a bit more upmarket, if you know what I mean. It's like they come with masks and resin and etch and all that sort of stuff, whereas the ICM kit is going to be in a box, a kit, decals, go away and build it, but to ICM standards. So I kind of think it's I would be surprised if we see the Clearprop ones if ICM, I have to say confirm, because at the moment this is all via a Russian forum where all this is posted. So there's nothing actually on any of the Facebook pages or anything like that as yet. So we're still waiting to for what I guess you'd call official confirmation from the companies in question. So there's a provenance for it. So it's not just these haven't been plucked out of thin air and pushed out. There is a provenance for the information, but no confirmation from the companies themselves yet. Because there's also, they've talked about further variants of the C-130 from Zvezda as well, which it's pretty obvious that was going to happen, but apparently they've announced it. So in terms of rumours, good week.
You've also you've missed the 72nd scale one out. You've missed the Academy one out for good reason.
Oh yeah, for good reason, because it's just the Hasegawa kit. It's the Hasegawa kit, raised detail and all.
And in 48 scale, we've had the Eshi kits from the late 1970s.
Eshi kits.
Then we had the Hobbycraft kits from the late 1980s, which could best be described as Eshi kit tribute band, diplomatically. And then since then, what have we had? 48 scale ones from Trumpeter. We've had 32nd scale ones from Trumpeter.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's pretty much that's pretty much it. It really hasn't been a particularly well served aircraft in model form, which is a shame, because it's a great looking aeroplane, and in many ways certainly the later marks of fighter were easily underrated. In fact, I think in the early 80s, the Israelis did a test of a defected Syrian MiG-23 MF, was it, that defected against the F-16A, and they classed it as slightly better than the F-16A. So it not in turn, I mean, it certainly couldn't turn with an F-16, but it had a beyond visual range missile and radar setup, and it basically it went like greased lightning. And so they sort of rated it in overall terms slightly ahead of the F-16A, which they had in service. So possibly an underrated, and many thousands of them were made and sold all over the world. So deserves good kits, I think. And of course, the Indians used them for many, many years, especially the MiG-27 attack variants, alongside the Jaguar. So yeah, I'm certainly of all of those that have been announced, the MiG-23 and 27 range is the one that I'm particularly, hoping gets an official confirmation, because it's it's an aircraft that I love, and it's ICM. So for me, it's a veritable double whammy of
I've just realised one kit that I forgot to include this week, but we didn't do last week because I was still travelling back from Warfest, was Academy have announced the 72nd scale Mitsubishi F2.
No.
Which is the... No, who's that?
Fine molds.
Fine molds.
Fine molds.
Fine molds. I should have stayed in the car travelling back from Warfest. Fine molds have announced a... we'll cut that out on the edit. I've done a Mitsubishi
MLD. Thank you, Ofer. Sorry, just looking at now.
Yeah, it's the to look at it, you think, oh, it's an F-16. It's only you see an overlay of the two aircraft that it's
a very much bigger aeroplane.
Super F-16, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the size difference between an F-18 Hornet and an F-18 Super Hornet, it is that kind of. It's in the same order. It's in the same order of increase. I think it's very, very specifically designed for Japanese needs. But I don't think they quite got the performance boost they were hoping for from the aircraft over a decent late series F-16, shall we say. Over a decent late 50, block 50 or 60 F-16. From my perspective, performance, because it just looks cool. It just looks...
Well, it's got that blue colour scheme, hasn't it? It's got the two blues. It's got the maritime colour scheme. So I've always really liked the aeroplane. I always really liked it. But it's just that one of those ones that over time you start to sort of research it a bit more and think, they didn't quite get what they wanted from it, but it doesn't make it. It's far from a failure, and it was one of the first fighters in service with an electronically scanned radar and stuff like that. So it brought a lot of very, very modern technologies into the fighter arena before other countries, before other countries sort of were getting there. The US Air Force was another 7 or 8 years away from fielding its first electronically scanned array with some of the F-15s and the F-22.
Got some comments here. First of all, Stu Wellard says RV and AZ have done a range of 23, 27, 172nd, which are pretty good. So that market.
No, they're not. They're awful.
Well,
they look great. They look
argue
great
with the viewers, Drew.
They look great in a box, but they're awful models. Sorry, I've built about 3 or 4 of them. Let's just say I won't be ordering anymore. It's just no.
Okay. Well, obviously, that's just Drew's opinion there. We have Anthony Bird here says, did anybody see this new company detail on the modelling news? I Love Kits. A new offshoot of the Trumpeter Hobby Boss brand has taken the banner for a new bunch of regular release kits that the 2 other companies have not yet produced. We have news on 4 of their new kits in September with sprue shots, colours, markings, and other information in our preview. Okay. You hear about that?
No, but Andrew Hills is already... Andy Hills there. There's a Merit range. They must have needed to rename it. Yeah, I've often wondered about that because there always was another company called Merit, wasn't there?
There was an English company from the 1950s.
Dave
Swindle says, yes, they've released the Trumpeter 1700 scale HMS Heard. But there you go. That was news. That was new to me. Always good to have these breaking news items coming through so that we can jump on them. For example, I'm sure I don't know how I randomly came across this. I don't know whether we've mentioned this or not, but it's that KP were doing a new family of Alpha jets in 72nd scale.
Oh, I saw the first sprue shots this week.
Let's move on.
Yeah, shall we?
Okay. Let's move on.
I'm not going to. They don't look terrible, but they look typically KP.
This is a shame because we've seen over the last year or so when they put up these CAD shots and it was with the little oh goodness me, brain freeze. That's the one. They look fabulous, and yet when I saw them and I saw the special hobby ones side by side, that's just no contest, really.
No. They really are 25 years behind the curve in terms of Eastern European manufacturers. You know, when you've got the likes of you know, when you've got the likes of Zvezda and ICM, and even the limited run stuff like, you know, Models Fit and Clear Prop, Dora Wings, all those sorts of people. You know, the people like Special Hobby, and they're almost exactly the same age as you know, as a company, almost exactly the same age as KP or AZ in their current, and they look 25 years behind the curve. You know, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with Dave in that. I mean, some of the stuff is frankly very, very poor indeed, and they don't appear to be trying to move forward.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that, because it's not like you know, it's not like, I'm trying to word this very carefully, but when you look at how Special Hobby, as you say, well, let's kind of go back to, if you go back to the 1980s, and when you started having the first emergence of injection molded kits coming from what we used to euphemistically call the Iron Curtain, back then, is that we kind of went, well, it's a good effort, but it's a long way to go. Well, they have now overtaken a lot, you know, overtaken a lot of companies now. Obviously, you've got Edward, you've got Special Hobby, as you say, you've got Zvezda, ICM. You know, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, I regard sort of Eastern Europe now as the powerhouse of the hobby.
Yeah. But for some reason, KP have just
they're drifting, aren't they?
It's a shame. It's a shame because I got a lot of love for them, and I built their, what did I build? Their Avia S199s.
Craig's just said there.
Yeah.
He'd been and I did the same, Craig. I had one basically completed and varnished, and just went, it's just not a good model. It just doesn't, you know, it doesn't.
Actually, bear with. Just hold the fort for a second here whilst I go and grab something.
You built something, didn't you? Yeah, you built one of them.
Yeah, just carry on yakking whilst I go and grab something, because it's literally on the shelf over here. So bear with. Oops.
Well, I think to be fair, I see Jim. I can't actually put comments up, but Jim there said,
all right, I'll do it.
Life is too short to build lesser quality models. I kind of that's kind of my take these days, that there is so much coming out that is of such an exceptional quality, that I don't want to waste time fighting lesser quality.
There we go.
And some people will, which is fine, yeah. You know. But I just, you know, I just
switch to the workbench mode just a sec. Yeah, well, you know, as like I say, I know sometimes we probably would you believe it? My OBS has decided not to work all of a sudden. I'm just going to take myself out a second, fill in. So
yeah, Stu, I've got the Art Models MiG-27 that they did, and that looks really nice in the box. Although, like you, I've yet to build mine. It's been stuck on the stash for about 10 years. So yeah, I think it's a good model, or it looks nice in the box. But like I said, I don't want to battle stuff anymore. I just want to build.
There we go. I know I hit somewhere. This is
you built that for MAI, didn't you?
I did, little KP mule, and you know what? It's actually a very nice kit. It's I little bit of love needed in some places, but other than that, I would quite happily build another one. Obviously, I need to fix that area which is pinged off, but I'd quite happily build another one. Really, a quite likable kit. And if you've seen Barry Numeric's builds that he's done of these kits down the years, and he's done them substantially better than me, they can be made into really nice little models. So they've
and I've got another couple of the S199s. I mean, my first one probably got binned as much through my fault as the kits, which proves that they can do it from time to time.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of, for the most part, I just think they're coasting now, and I kind of look at a new release announcement from them with kind of like a bit of a sinking heart rather than a excitement, which is life's too short. Life's too short for me.
Right, we'll wrap up. We'll wrap up the first half of the show with some other little bits of news.
That wasn't bad as just a rumor, was it?
It's not bad. Yeah, we could easily do whose line is it anyway? We could improvise.
30 minutes discussing a rumor.
Exactly. ICM have announced this week that they're doing a 48 scale set of US Army, Air Force, bomber pilots and ground crew personnel, 1944, 1945. And you go over to the Facebook page, you'll see all the pictures of the test shots and everything. They do look rather nice. And again, this is something that hasn't really been done down the years. So yeah, I think it's a nice little choice.
I think that's a really nice little, and they're doing quite a few of these sets now, aren't they? They kind of do. They appear to be determined to do in 48 scale. A lot of what Mini Art are doing in 35th, if you like.
Yes,
they're doing a lot of these little accessory. A lot of these little accessory sets, and they'll really dress up your HK models, B17s or whatever, won't they?
Well, I'm just thinking. They've obviously got their B26 range.
Yes,
and other bits and pieces. So, yeah, fabulous. That's a fabulous release from ICM, and of course, being figures, I'll probably make a career of at least 6 months painting them. So,
you could get half a year's modelling out of that easily, couldn't you?
Absolutely. And also, Zvezda have put up pictures of something which I know is right up your garage, and that is their 72nd scale Boomerang.
Yeah, well, I built the 48 scale one, didn't I, for the hobby company, and it's a big beast of a vehicle, isn't it? It's in that modern sort of infantry fighting vehicle sort of milieu. Big unmanned turret there. Big, I think it's a 30mm cannon and various missiles on the side. So I think it's actually entered service now with the Russian army. Very well armored, very mobile, and if it's as good as the 35th scale one, it'll be a beautiful little model to build. I really enjoyed the 35th scale one. I mean, you can see that as some slight sort of thickness around the water propulsors and stuff that would benefit from some thinning out. But bear in mind that model is probably 3.5 inches long, maybe.
And these are test shots. These aren't CAD renders. These are actual test shots.
Yeah, and I built the T15 IFV version of the Armata a couple of years ago from Zvezda, and that was a beautiful build. So I see no reason why this shouldn't be equally beautiful. So I really want to get hold of one of these. Actually, I'd really like to build that.
I'm sure that could be expedited.
Because it'd be nice. It'd be nice to build it to go alongside the T15 that I built, because they're sort of, if you like, it's kind of wheeled and tracked variants of the same vehicle almost in many ways. It's got the same turret and kind of like the same overall sort of role.
See, I get these confused with because these vehicles these days tend to be all assuming a very similar kind of form, because you've got Japanese operate the what do they operate?
They got the Type 16, they got the Type 16.
It's very similar to this. Very similar layout.
And then you've got the German Boxer, which the British Army now use. And then you've got Patria's, the Finnish manufacturer's range of these vehicles, which are selling exceptionally well and look very, very similar to the Boomerang here. It's basically the new. I mean, apparently the British Army now has decided they're not going to upgrade the Warrior. They're just going to retire the Warrior altogether and move to an all-wheeled infantry fighting force. Which, with I think about 600 boxes on order, they're talking about maybe upping that to around 1,000 mark to replace the Warrior. With the Boxer, so it's these have become very, very popular over the last couple of decades because they're cheaper and easier to maintain than tracked vehicles, basically. And you know, in most scenarios, they're as mobile, if not more mobile. So yes, it's going to be a small model, but given Zvezda's history recently with these 72nd scale kits, it's going to be very, very nicely detailed. So I look forward to getting one.
No, that's the thing. I've just suddenly realised that nice little bookshop in Exmouth, it's got some of the Tanker Grab books on the Boxer for £99. So as by coincidence, I am scheduled to be in Exmouth tomorrow. I might pop in and grab a copy.
Purchase.
I did pick up that MiG-29 book for you, by the way.
Oh, superb! Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. You get that for Christmas.
Superb.
So, absolutely.
Never have too many MiG-29 books.
I've got to say, I might pick up a copy of myself now because they're actually very nicely done, and there's some nice info in there. I just thought they looked a bit superficial, but once I started thumbing through your copy, and I thought, actually, that's a pretty handy little book. So I might clear them out of what they've got there. So if I've got time, of course. Just a quick, I forgot to mention this last week, but I will mention this now. And that was at Warfest last week. There was the exciting moment when two Pink Panther Land Rovers met up. And I tell you what, it was an education to see the size difference and the shape differences between the Italeri and the Tamiya kits. Somebody somewhere has been using a different tape measure because they are
very different, aren't they? You can just looking at them.
I know that one's a bit closer, but certainly the
Italeri, even given that, just a lot of the shapes do look significantly different to me.
Yeah, it was a real eye opener. Also, what was a real eye opener, because this was built from the challenge last year with me and Spencer, is independently of each other, using completely different paint mixes, we came up with almost identical paint matches. Really quite striking to see the two models side by side. You would have thought they'd have been painted with the same tin of paint.
Well, you're both interpreting it fairly similarly then, weren't you?
Yeah, it was a really weird coincidence, but yeah, it was good to see the pair of them, actually have the pair of them together there, and it certainly sparked a lot of interest from people wanting to know, is that the Tamiya kit? Well, that's the Tamiya kit. That's the Italeri kit. So I think it does show tremendous value in doing projects like this, where you're getting two takes of the same subject, but by different manufacturers.
And different modelers as well.
And I've got the Tamiya kit now, so that might always come back and get built at some stage.
Come back and haunt you.
Now, talking of things that come back and haunt me, I need to say hello to everybody who's watching tonight, which is the moment I dread because it's me and pronunciations. So here we go. Let's say hello to Dave Fleming, Douglas Hunter, Dave Swindle, Ian Goldstraw, Paul Milligan, Mike Williams, Anthony Bird, Dougal McWoogle, Ian Rusco, Julian Dallamore, Lee Suter, Stan Kirk. Oh, see, I've stumbled already. Kirks. I think that's Kirks. Right. Okay. Stan Codling, Jim Altegott. Hello, Jim. Stephen Pryor, Craig Sargent, Tim Campbell. Scrolls down. Yeah, that guy. Go on. How do you do it?
Paviu Krapovic.
He will no doubt tell me if you.
Paviu Krapovic.
We're going to get him on the show anyway to teach us linguistics.
Go on, try it, John. Paviu.
No, I'm not. No.
Although he does prefer Pavel. He does prefer the Czech pronunciation.
I'm just going to refer to him as the Czech chap. Brian Wilton.
He's Polish.
That's just. I've absolutely shot myself.
So you got that wrong as well. Oh dear.
Well, there'll be a new host of the Interesting Modelling Co show next week, as I'm going to self-fire myself. Ophir Cohen, Mark Ryan, Tim Cavalier, Christian Gerard, Steve Moores, Craig Sargent. Scrolls down. Got Freight Dog Models, Joe Pestaglici. Scrolls down. Well, look at this. We've got Evening Somewhere Else in Somerset from Cat Ludwell. So it's the old Somerset Math here is here.
old Somerset Mafia, right?
Stu Wellard, Mr. Andrew Hills, and we will always remind you that Mr. Andrew Hills can be found at www.anticsonline.uk, where you can order some fine model stuff from him. That was a pretty good plug, wasn't it? And scrolls down. Very good, very professional. Lox9. Hello, Lox9. I was going to have a new face. And scrolls down. Darren Cook. Hello, Darren. Yohav Afreti. Hello, Yohav. Scrolls down. That's if we've missed you out, I do apologize. Crazy Loca says hello, Crazy. And I think you've got the thing of approval there. Right, okay. Let's quickly move on, because we're going to do workbench talk, and we will field people's correspondence and all that kind of thing. But first, there's this. And a big thank you to Brian May for not suing me for
shamelessly ripping his guitar tone off.
Exactly. But what that does mean is that we don't get any nasty little things from Warner's Music saying you can't play that piece of recording. So there we go. I'm actually working on like a slightly longer full version just for my own egotistical reasons. But so we are working on the Festival of Modelling at the moment, and we are piecing together some ideas and things, including, and we floated this, I think, during the midweek one, that we might be doing the Saturday show from a secret location.
Possibly.
That's a secret location somewhere else in Somerset. That's all we're going to say on that one. So we are working on that one.
Yeah, another bit of Somerset, isn't it?
Another bit of Somerset we haven't done yet, but we are. Yeah. So yes, let's go to workbenches and see if I can get the. See, OBS is playing up tonight. Anyway, workbenches, right? Here we are. This is the Rubicon Models 156 scale Chevrolet truck with crew, which is part of the wargaming range that they do. And John Walker sent me this, which is very kind of him. And yeah, we got some paint on it. I've started doing some very basic weathering, just doing some chips. I think that's pretty much all I'm really going to do. I might just put a couple of washes in a couple of places just to pop a bit of detail. I've got the crew figures to paint, so see you next year. Apart from that, obviously it's a wargaming model, so it is very, very basic when it comes to things like the underside. So I'm not even, honestly not going to bother weathering that at all. There's really no point, but it's just doing the visible bits. And I think these are fabulous. I just really taken with these, and I've been going through the Rubicon range, which is absolutely enormous, and they're doing so many things now. But they're molded in ABS plastic, but that's not a problem really, because most modern plastic modeling glues can deal with that anyway. Tamiya, Plastic Weld, stuff like that. But I've really enjoyed this, and it's been great fun to be able to throw something together quickly. Although, let's qualify that by saying I think I threw this together quickly about 6 weeks ago, and it's only just taken me this long to actually put some paint on it. But I'm genuinely impressed by these, and I can see me building another one of these at some stage in the future.
Excellent. So it's an unqualified thumbs up then.
There we go. Yep. So, what have ye on your workbench?
Well, I'm trying not to be too much of a cliche of what I generally do, but yes,
cliche.
It's another one of them there model Civic Mirages. This time it's the twin-seater 3B I've been working on. Now this was basically in bare plastic 24 hours ago, and now you can see I'm sort of putting the markings on. So the undersides were painted with LP11, the bare metal silver lacquer from Tamiya. Then I used some of those mottle masks to mottle some darker metal over it, and then blended it all in, so it's got that kind of, hopefully,
patina,
weathered patina, silver sort of patina. That has had a coat of varnish as well. And then top sides were done with Mr. Colour paints, and then a coat of Mr. Colour GX gloss clear, so you can see the kind of gloss it's brought up on there. And then I've started applying the decals this afternoon. So it's been, once you get to the painting stage, it's all going fairly quickly, I think. But yeah, hopefully you can see how nicely that's all coming together. Typical models fit these days, absolutely gorgeous. So I hope to get that one finished this week. But I'm particularly pleased with the way the camouflage came out on that. It came up really, really nice. So it's one of those ones you keep going back to and looking at because you're so pleased with how the camouflage came out. You know, it happens sometimes. You just keep going back and looking at your own work and going, oh, that came out nice. I'm really happy with that. But yeah, you can see as it catches a light there, the kind of gloss that we've got on there prior to adding the decals. And that's basically, that's a couple of very light coats of GX 112 gloss and a very light polishing with some wet Trizact to get there. So that's the main thing. That's the main sort of focus at the moment. And then the also the Hercules is kind of making progress. Tailplanes are in place and all sanded through now, ready to rescribe that detail. The ramp has been glued in place, and it's actually a really, really nice fit. So it's just had a very light sanding there. So we're basically ready to add all the detail parts to that and rescribe some detail. And then the wings are more or less finished. I've added the reinforcing strip from basically aluminium speed tape over the wing center sections there on both sides, and added some rivet detail to them. But yeah, these are ready to basically almost ready to start painting now. So yeah, that's been the majority of my week on the bench, so to speak.
Well, so I have an addendum to make to the IBG kit, Rubicon kit. IBG, I'll get them right in a minute. Is that you do get a rather splendid decal sheet with loads of markings on them, a lot of markings on them. So that is not only fabulous for this one I'm building, but actually a lot of these will go into the kind of like the decal folder, because I'm sure they will lend themselves to other models at some stage in the future if they are kind of chopped around a bit. But yeah, that's pretty fabulous, that, I think. So yeah,
certainly plenty of options there. Certainly plenty of options there, isn't there?
Yeah, plenty of options. You can't find one to do out of all that. Although I will bear with. Going through the instruction sheet, they are a little bit light on actual kind of details, and when you go to the back of the box, there really isn't much to actually tell you what to do with all those decals.
Right.
But hey ho, it's all part of the fun. And also worth mentioning that I've only built 2 of the figures, but you do get quite a nice selection of figures in this, and the figures are superb. It's one of those things where you wish Rubicon were actually doing these in 48 scale.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But there
on a similar theme, and I did do a pop-up live for this during the week, but for those of you who missed it, we'll do another pop-up live, pop-up extra. And this is Zvezda's little Art of Tactic 1/100th scale Valentine Mark II. And I described this as the perfect cure for modeller's block, because
good Lord, that's tiny, isn't it?
It is, but that's it. That's all you get. I could have probably built this during the show, actually. There's really
whilst you were chatting.
Whilst I was chatting. I might even do that. I might do it as a pop-up live and build it live this week.
Yeah, why not?
Really not much there. And there's your instruction sheet. Oops, Daisy, can't see that because of the thing. There's the instruction sheet. No decals in it, but as I said on the pop-up live during the week, you could probably have fun just painting this overall 4BO green and then kind of having a bit of a whitewash weathering session or something. But in terms of just, if you just wanted to sit there and think, I just want to do something where I'm playing around with washes and weathering effects and dry brushing and etc., that you really can't go wrong with something like that. I mean, I think I built what did I build the other year? I built the King Tiger and another one. I can't remember what the other one was.
Right. Yeah.
Porsche turreted King Tiger and a Jag Tiger.
Just a quick one, Darren. Yes, it's the Zvezda Hercules. It's my second one.
All right, that's just
Darren Cook asking which Herc kit. Yeah, it's a Zvezda one. It's the second one I've built now. So.
Right, okie dokie.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look. I'm sure Mr. Hills will tell us how much these are, but they are shopping. Just as a quick look, yeah, they're ridiculous. They're between about £3-4.
Right. Yeah,
and like I say, they are part of their wargaming range. But having said that, we've mentioned on the show before that Zvezda Art of Tactic, they do jump between 1/100th and 72nd scale. They do some figures. Some of the figure sets they do in 72nd scale are actually pretty damn good. They're really very nicely done. I think we actually did it on the show beginning of the year. It was like a Russian street fighting team or something. And they are really good. Here we go. He comes to the rescue, as always. And he says the RRP is £4.25. So, you know, yeah.
Talking of Mr. Hills, just to... we haven't really covered if we received anything this week. So just to Mr. Hills, thank you very much for your service again. I got these on there. Let's zoom out a bit.
Yeah.
I got these on Friday from you, Mr. Hills. I will give you a ring during the week and settle up with you. So with the release of the 14, Special Hobby have now done basically all of the different fuselage styles of Night Fighter Meteor in 72nd. So apart from different boxings, different markings boxings, yeah, that's now pretty much covered. I know our Mr. Williams built the Mark 12 and said it was a bit challenging in some ways, but it did build up into a lovely model. So that's the final, shall we say, distinct airframe of the Night Fighter Meteors, if you like, the NF-14. And yes, the length is correct. It's the same length as the NF-12. So Special Hobby clearly took notice of the information they were given on Night Fighter Meteor lengths. So yeah. There's a. You see.
Where would you place this in terms of Special Hobby? They do stuff which is kind of like A grade, and then sometimes they do stuff which is they kind of play the B team.
I would kind of call this A minus.
Okay.
It's still more in the limited run kind of range, if you like. But ironically, for that, I think the surface detail on these is better than their, long run steel toolings. Surface detail is absolutely beautiful. Lots of fine detail. See if I can bring this.
Not with our quality of stream, unfortunately, but it does look.
No. But it's all there. It looks pretty accurate. It's certainly, you certainly wouldn't be building the Matchbox one after you've got this one. The Matchbox one can now be happily retired, I would suggest. But there's that one. So thanks very much, Mr. Hills. Like I said, I'll have to phone you up this week and settle up with you. I hope you know how much I owe you, because I don't anymore. I've kind of lost track. And the other thing that I got this week, after so much talking about it.
Oh, boo.
What? Why boo?
You could have told me you were ordering one. I would have ordered one.
This is from the good folks at Jadeland Models. and I have to say, I ordered from them. I ordered this on Friday from them, and of all the weird things, it turned up this afternoon. So I received a Royal Mail delivery at 3:30 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
The world doesn't make sense to me anymore. It's just what's going on. But again, I think this was I paid £26 for this from Jadeland.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, the dogs are barking outside now. My voice can't go any higher.
So yeah, it actually looks really, really, really nice. Yeah, I think the only thing I'll be tempted to do when I build this, which will probably be quite soon, is I'll probably rivet the airframe.
Get you.
But that aside, it's a really, really nice, well-tooled model. And the ones I've seen built seem to go together. You know, it seems to go together fairly painlessly.
I struggled with their 72nd scale Percival prop here, but I've been told that apparently that one of their earlier kits, and it was a bit of a
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that they've come a long way very quickly. But you know, you've got a load of different. You've got a polished metal one there. There's the one with the red dots in the national markings.
Yep.
There's the one without the red dots. There's the one with the full star and bar with the red surround. So you've got a variety of different color schemes. And I really want to do an olive drab and neutral grey one of these, since I've got that really good olive drab mix now. So yeah, that's probably the one with the
I think I'll wait for the 72nd scale one, quite frankly. I think I'll wait for the little.
But see, for something that was basically the direct progenitor of the Thunderbolt, it's actually a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot smaller than the Thunderbolt.
It's probably closer in dimensions to the Seversky.
Yeah, it's kind of like near a P40 size.
Yeah.
And well, you can see that wing shape is pure P47, isn't it? Really.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yeah.
Nice. Yes. I hadn't realised you were ordering one, because I would have.
Well, I did. I hadn't realised I was ordering one till Friday afternoon, and I was just kind of looking at them, and I sort of I looked on eBay at one, and sort of it came up, and I looked at the seller, and it was Jadeland, so I just went on Jadeland's website and ordered it, so that I could. It's cheaper to get it directly from. It makes more money for Jadeland, should I say, if you order it directly from them rather than through eBay.
Yeah.
So I kind of used eBay as a research tool, if you like, and then went straight to Jadeland and bought it from them. Well, they have done the Australian one. Dave Fleming there saying the Royal RAF one would be cool, and they have done that, Dave. So. It is actually out if you fancied one.
I fancy one, but I've just fortunately it's time management. I've got
it's
all these projects. I can't in all good conscience at the moment. I can in good conscience buy these things and photograph them, share them, and and actually put content, as they call it, on the page. But in terms of me building them, I need to have literally a plastic modeling enema for September, and then get into October and start new projects afresh. One thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to multitask. Can't do it. I can barely unitask, but I certainly can't multitask.
I wasn't going to say that. I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say it.
I can pick it all up. I've known you 25 years. Isn't that depressing?
Tell me about it.
I had hair back then.
No, you didn't.
I did. I had flowing locks. Lovely. Anyway, that's it. We run out of time. We've actually overshot the
overshot the hour. Yes.
Yeah. And in fact, Lox 9 says one at a time, John. Absolutely. Apparently, Lox 9 is down in Cornwall. where they also do their cream teas wrong. So
another Somersetian there, Paul Cave.
Oh, really? Oh, another Somerset.
Yeah,
This is splendid.
It's the Somerset Massif, innit?
Yes. And going back a bit, it was who said so? Andy Brennan said, "Are we doing the broadcast from the Blitz Tea Room?" No, we're not, but we will be at some stage because it's on the list. I haven't been back since it's open, but we definitely need to do a live from the Blitz Tea Room, which is absolutely splendid. It really is. So, right. On that note. No, I need to do a bit better. That's better.
There you go. Business? Not from me, no.
Okay, no. Fair enough.
Good Lord, nothing. Craig, you're right.
No, come on, you got to tell me what they say. I can't.
Craig, 18 years since Hendon and Hannants. Yes, it is, Craig. You're right. God.
Yeah.
We had a big day out. Big day out at Hendon and then visited Hannants. Big group of us.
You know, I still haven't really had a good look round Hendon.
I would suggest that we excuse me. We went in there for a few hours, but we didn't really have a good look round. We had a kind of cursory, you know. You need a couple of days really to take in that sort of thing. I've never been to the Imperial War Museum.
No, I've never been to the Imperial War Museum. No, it's been 30 years since I've been to the Science Museum and the Natural History Museum. In fact, I was at the end of 2019. I was planning to go to both of them in 2020. But one of the things I did mention to you during the week, and we'll float it out there. If we say it in public, we're committed to doing it now. And I did say that actually it would be fun, perhaps in December, to pop up to the old Cosford and meet up with Mr. Pollard.
That there, Pollard, yes.
And we could do all the stops on the way. You know,
it depends if we can get any fuel.
Well, obviously, it all depends whether or not we can get fuel, and it all hasn't suddenly gone a bit kind of like zombie apocalypse. But stop along the way. Stop at the old Lakeside Cafe, the Bikers Cafe as well, Bewdley Railway Station. Forget I said that. And then we can go on to. I'm not stopping at Bewdley Railway Station. I seem to remember from 2019. I'm like, oh no, we just passed it. I'm not stopping.
Yeah, no.
No. And then meet up with Spence and, kind of like trawl around the museum. So I think that's doable. That'd be
something
fun
to have a look at. Yeah.
Something to look forward to. Anyway, look, on that note, it just remains to say thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Bless you all for turning up for our Sunday service. We should be back. Should be back Wednesday. I've just got to check my scheduling because
I'm on late, so I'm
on late, right?
Yep.
Might not do a Wednesday then because I might have a bit of an old scheduling clash, but we'll try and fill in with a kind of like a pop-up live at some stage.
Pop-up or something, yeah.
Wait and see what goes on. Until then, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we will see you when we see you. So from us tonight,
take care all. See you later.